Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Onepeg. As a reminder, I will be live as soon as this video is live over at twitch.tv/Onepeg, so stop by and say hi if you feel like it. What I can only describe as out of the script of like a Final Destination movie is a story that I'm going to share with you that is so absolutely crazily unlikely. The chance of me seeing a story like this one in the near future, or hell, for the rest of my life, is pretty unlikely. I don't think I would ever see something this crazy happen ever again. It involves an up-and-coming touring... I don't want to say starving artists, but they're guys that are living in a van, more or less, touring around in the southwestern United States, trying to make a name for themselves. They sound freaking phenomenal, by the way, and I will definitely be linking you their music. You should definitely listen to them if you like Coheed and Cambria or The Used. They sound awesome. These guys are great. It involves a tractor trailer, a freak explosion in their van, and a car accident. But there are no like car-to-car collisions, which sounds completely wild, right? And is why I mentioned the whole Final Destination movie script thing. Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. But anyway, it involves this band, Cliff Diver. Now, these guys are a fantastic band, as I said. They sound great. I can't share any of their music, obviously, for fear of copyright infringement and whatnot. But also it involves this guy. Tyler Rogers is the band's bass player. It also involves a guy named Matt Eller, who is one of the band's guitarists and one of their backup vocalists. But our story begins on May 23rd, where 4 of the 6 band members hopped into their now new van that they were finally able to afford, much more comfortable digs. And as somebody that has toured in a van in the past, I can tell you a new van with comfortable seats means all of the difference. But I digress. Anyway, and I had to throw in the I digress because somebody mentioned in the comments that me saying I digress was cringe. So obviously I'm going to end up putting it in there. You're welcome. They ended up heading out to Las Vegas from Tulsa, Oklahoma, driving down Route 44. On the way, they unfortunately get into a bit of an accident. And I'm going to let the pen of Matt Eller, the guitarist, kind of take over from here. We had made it almost an hour outside of Tulsa when everything changed in an instant. We were near Stroud, Oklahoma, traveling westbound on Interstate 44 when at approximately 11 a.m. there was an enormous boom sound that sounded like a cannon being fired as the entire front of the van filled with glass, shards, and dust. As the air cleared, we quickly realized that the driver's window was shattered and Tyler, who was driving at the time, was knocked completely unconscious. Elliot, sitting in the passenger seat and barely able to see, was able to grab the steering wheel and keep the van from going off the road. I had been sitting directly behind Tyler, and after making my way to the front of the van, I started shaking Tyler's body and yelling his name to wake him up. At this point, we noticed that blood was spewing out of his neck and head region and drenching his body and the surrounding area, which means that if it was drenching it, it was likely an arterial tick, right? Something nicked an artery, because if it was, Anyway, I'll spare you the details. Terrifyingly enough, my only thought was that Tyler's dead, and I need to get control of the van before the rest of us join him. Tyler's right foot was locked onto the accelerator while the van reached speeds of nearly 80 miles per hour, and being buckled to the seat, his body was impossible to move. After struggling for what felt like an eternity, I was finally able to maneuver his foot off the accelerator and position myself on top of his blood-soaked body to slam the brakes and steer the van onto the side of the highway. Once we came to a stop, Joey was quickly to shout first aid directions to Donnie and myself, who were trying to apply pressure to his entire neck and throat region, as it was impossible to pinpoint where the injury was due to the amount of blood. Elliot immediately dialed 911, and thankfully we had stopped right in front of a mile marker, so we was able to tell them exactly where we were. Tyler appeared to regain the tiniest bit of consciousness just before the first responders arrived, which was a relief as we were all certain we had just watched our best friend die. We still had no idea what had happened at this point until he was placed in an ambulance and gained stability, but we were assured by everyone there that the actions we took not only saved Tyler's life, but all of our lives. Absolutely wild. So of course, the question is, well, what the hell happened, right? So we're not completely sure. The band isn't completely sure, but this is what they estimate happened according to police that were there responding. Once he was stable and paramedics were able to examine him, the sheriff approached us and told us they found a large steel chain link lodged in his neck. The only reasonable explanation of what happened is that a semi-truck was pulling a trailer that had a load-bearing chain strap that had snapped under pressure, launching the chain link across the interstate and through our van window into Tyler's neck. So the boom was the sound of the chain exploding under pressure of load and a chain link flying across the interstate from oncoming traffic lanes and hitting him in the neck through his car window. Are you kidding me? So Tyler was rushed to the hospital. They had determined that his carotid artery had been punctured. His jugular was lacerated. He had fractures in his neck and lost approximately 2 liters of blood. Now, they do have a GoFundMe page. That was the image that I showed you here earlier in the video, and you can see that it has been overfunded. However, it is unknown, according to the folks in the band, how long Tyler will end up remaining in the hospital. He has had surgery, obviously, to correct all of the issues with his blood vessels, but there is always the possibility that something like his carotid artery, for instance, which undergoes an awful lot of pressure, could end up rupturing, meaning the surgery ends up, or more surgeries end up having to happen in order to be able to prevent this thing from happening again. Now, in this case, he is recovering. They aren't sure how long he's going to be in the hospital, and as always, with bands that are trying to make a name for themselves, it's not an easy thing to make a lot of money when you're trying to tour around. So, if you guys feel like contributing to it, I will obviously put a link to the GoFundMe in here for the sake of the news story, and if you guys feel like contributing to Tyler's recovery, by all means. But if I may, oh my God, is this wild? I'm just glad everybody's all right. Anyway, I just wanted to share that one with y'all. Absolutely insane story. Thanks so much for coming and checking it out. For more stories like these, please consider subbing to the channel. It really, really does matter. Thank you all very, very much for coming and checking it out. I love y'all, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.